Hello and welcome to the National Time Reaction Hour podcast. This is the show where we talk about everything from comic books to Star Wars and everything in between. I'm your host, Aiden, and welcome to you if you are a new listener. Welcome back if you are returning. This is Season 2, Episode 2, the Assassin's Creed Timeline. Now, this episode, I just wanted to talk about the different games in the Assassin's Creed series and talk about the order in which they take place. There's the release order, and then there's the chronological order within the story. Now, I have been a fan of this series for years now. I first got onto the series when the second game was released in 2009, and ever since then I've been a fan. And this episode really started after I found this guy's YouTube channel where he mostly talks about Assassin's Creed, and he revitalized my love for the series. It really helped me appreciate it more, watching this guy do breakdowns of characters and the events of the stories and whatnot. So in that same vein, I just wanted to break down the timeline for you. So when you first get into any long-running series, be it a video game or a comic book or a film, it's very overwhelming for new fans to understand the timelines and the orders and whatnot. So I just wanted to give this to you as a sort of guide for new fans and help revitalize old fans' passion for the series. So chronologically, the story begins with Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which came out at the time of recording a few years ago. The story takes place between 431 and 404 BC. So it takes place in ancient Greece, and then, there's the modern day stuff, which happens more recent years. For us at the time of recording, it's near the end of July 2022, so it's closer to there. And I can't believe 2012 was 10 years ago, and that's when the third game came out, and that's where a lot of the early modern day stories took place in 2012, but I'm jumping ahead of myself. So Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and then Assassin's Creed Origins, which takes place between 49 and 43 BC. That takes place in ancient Egypt. And then there is Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which takes place in 872 and 878 AD. And that's the most recent game released in the series. And then there is Assassin's Creed Altair's Chronicles from I believe 2008, which was just about a year after the first game was released. And that takes place in 1190 AD, just a year before Assassin's Creed, which takes place in 1191 AD. And the first game, as I said, was released in 2007. And then there's Assassin's Creed Bloodlines, which takes place in 1191 AD. That's immediately after the first game. Then there's Assassin's Creed 2, which was released in 2009. And again, this was my introduction to the series, and that takes place between 1476 and 1499 AD. Then there's Assassin's Creed 2 Discovery, which takes place in 1491. That's sort of like in-between missions in Assassin's Creed 2. Then Assassin's Creed 2 Discovery, which takes place in Assassin's Creed 2. Then there's Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, which picks up right after the second game in 1499 and ends in 1507. These take place in Renaissance Italy. And then there's Assassin's Creed Revelations, which takes place between 1511 and 1512 AD. And this mainly takes place in modern-day Turkey. At the time that it's set in, it's the Ottoman Empire. And then there's Assassin's Creed Chronicles China, which happens in 1526. And And then there is Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, which takes place between 1715 and 1722 AD. And that's in the Caribbean. And then there's Assassin's Creed Freedom Cry, which takes place between 1735 and 1737. This is a DLC for Assassin's Creed 4. And then there's Assassin's Creed Rogue, which takes place between 1752 and 1776. And then there is Assassin's Creed 3, which takes place between 1754 and 1783. This was released in 2012. Then there's Assassin's Creed 3 Liberation, which is also a DLC, which is 1765 to 1777. Then we have Assassin's Creed Unity, which takes place between 1776 and 1800 AD. That's during the French Revolution. And Rogue is during the 7 Years' War. And Freedom Cry is during the Haitian Revolution. And Assassin's Creed 3 is American Revolution. Then there's Assassin's Creed Chronicles India in 1841, which takes place during the East Indian Company's takeover of India. And then there is Assassin's Creed Syndicate, which takes place in England in 1868 during the Industrial Revolution and the reign of Her Majesty Queen Victoria. Then there is Assassin's Creed Chronicles Russia, which takes place in 1918. So, Russian Revolution and World War I. And then there's the modern day plot, which takes place in 2012 for a good chunk of the early games. And more recently, in the more recent games, it's around 2015. I don't know exactly. I stopped playing the series after Syndicate, but yeah, that's the entire timeline so far. And I just wanted to give that to you so you can really understand the storyline of the series. So thank you so much for listening to this, and I'll leave a link to all of my social media accounts in the description, as well as the Patreon and merch store and my YouTube channel. And thank you so much for listening. I hope you guys have a great day. Bye.